Hello, and welcome to the Pro Dev Lab podcast. My name is Dave Deese, and I'm your host for this podcast. And today, what I wanted to talk about is anxiety to action. So, we went to the beach this morning, Maddox and I, my dog, and we walked around, and it was really nice. And I reflected on this because before we went to the beach this morning, I got up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was so anxious, I just could not sleep. We all have times in our lives where different things are happening, and we found out yesterday that Maddox has to be screened for cancer. He's got a growth on his leg, and we love our boy. He's 5.5, German Shepherd, beautiful boy, so gentle, and he loves the beach. I call him my little beach boy. He absolutely loves the beach. Anyway, so I'm anxious about that. I'm anxious about a couple other things, work related, of course. I don't know why I'm saying of course. I think I'm saying of course because this podcast is intended for your professional development, our professional development. I was so anxious during the night. I had this dream that there were Xanax and Tylenol all over the floor in my house, everywhere. And it wasn't even my house. I don't know where I was, but there was Xanax and Tylenol. And I started taking them. I wasn't shoveling in my mouth, but I was taking them. And then I woke up and I just about 1:30 and I was like, okay, go to sleep even for a couple more hours. And I just couldn't do it. So my point is, what I find whenever I have anxiety, especially about work or life, I should say, but especially about work, again, trying to keep this as professional development, is action is the cure. I talked about action when I talked about fear as well, that the opposite of fear was not bravery, it's action. Well, I found that the best way to manage anxiety is through action. So what I did is I got up, I started to fix a recording of another podcast that I had done, and I came up with some really great ideas, I think are really great ideas. And using my editing tool, learned a few other things. I also have a webinar that I'm teaching today, so I worked on that, and I have another one coming up in a couple days, worked on that. So that action, what it did was it helped me feel like I was back in control. I think for me, and maybe some of you, anxiety comes from the lack of control or the feeling that we lack control. And that's why action has so much power to managing that. So what I would like you to think about is when you have those anxious times, are we going to get the bills paid on time? How do I manage that anxiety when I still have a job to do? Or I'm okay with money, but my not getting along with my boss, or I'm not making the progress I really want at work. Oh, what am I going to do? Are there layoffs coming? I've been through that more than a couple times. Being a trainer, one of the things that happens in my career is when budgets get tight, training gets cut. Right? It's an easy line item for leadership to cut. So I deal with that, or have dealt with that. So I find taking action, so things like doing the work I had mentioned, writing some content for a book I'm working on, setting up and editing some of the podcasts I'm recording, writing and editing some of my upcoming webinars. And it's not a distraction. I don't want you to think that because the anxiety or what you're anxious about may still be there. The action should be focused on what it is you're anxious about. So talked about Maddox, possibly, or he's being screened for cancer. That's anxiety. It's hard for me to take action. So what do? I spend time with him. I took him out to do things that he enjoyed, making sure he's feeling good in any other way. I made him his favorite breakfast of boiled ground beef and rice, kind of a bland diet for them. So just taking best care of them that I can and knowing that it's going to be okay. So the action should be focused or directed towards what it is you're anxious about. So name your anxiety, then take action to manage that anxiety. I know for me that really works. So having said that, I'm going to wrap up this podcast and I'm going to go back to bed. All right. Well, thank you very much for listening to this podcast, From Anxiety to Action. Take action towards what it is you're anxious about. My name is Dave Deese. Thank you for being here at the Pro Dev Podcast. And I hope to see you or talk to you in another upcoming session. Be well.